So we're powerless. Right. We're powerless tonight. We have no CJB.
So far we've got a missing man tonight.
There won't be any Chris confusion, I guess.
Man down.
Well, hopefully he's just delayed, because I understand, and I wouldn't know for sure myself, but it's a day of some religious significance prior to the to Good Friday.
Yeah.
So to all of you who are joining us live, to those of you who are watching this after the fact, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. I'm here joined tonight on our monthly. This would be our April 2025 stream. Joined by my colleague Tim. Our other colleague Chris, Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bauer, is AWOL. Hope Chris is okay. We haven't got an update on what's going on over there, but I would imagine he's involved in some stuff having to do with the weekend. Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could be.
He's either praying or preaching, one of the two.
Absolutely. We have a special guest here tonight, and really grateful that Chris has offered to join us. Chris runs a YouTube channel called Two Old Men in the Woods, and it seems to me, and we're gonna dive into this in a few minutes here for sure. It seems to me like it's almost like a hybrid of two things: ham radio and something which is near and dear to my heart: backpacking, outdoors excursions. And as Tim, when Tim brought up Chris's name, as far as maybe somebody to bring on, Tim said he made mention of the music. So you got a little bit of music thrown in there too. So that's a pretty cool thing. But as we get started here, maybe we'll just go around the table, see what everybody's been up to for the past month or so. Hey, Tim, you want to kick it off for us?
Oh, well, sure. Crazy weather here. It's raining now. We're supposed to have some pretty big storms. I'm running a sale on the eBay site, so if anybody wants to check that out. Yeah, so right here, right? So I came up with a funny coupon code. Tariff Beater 10. but like in the old days, we would misspell things, So so Beater is actually BEETER. So Tariff Beater 10. Other than that, things are pretty mellow. You got your antenna coming. You got your short end fed.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to do that. StreamYard always does this to us.
What'd you do?
It's like it's throwing I'm trying to share your screen, Tim.
What'd you do?
The eBay, and it's given me these things that holy cow.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We'll get to it. I'll put it up in a bit. Just
don't break the rhythm, Jack.
Understand Aetherwave antennas.
That's right.
eBay store. Link is in the description below. Go check out some of those specials that Tim.
There's a coupon and a special, because I never really do that. So
and the other thing is, Tim was just sharing with us that his business comes and it goes, right? It's like it's super busy, or sometimes a little bit of a lull, and that's the time to reach out to Tim.
That's right.
And say, hey, Tim, can you cook me up something? He's got a number of interesting designs. And Tim, I want to talk to you about that, and at least ask you about this, just to get it clear in my own mind. But
sure,
you tend to work with your clients a little bit. If they have a special request,
all the time. All the time. Somebody's always asking something. Yeah,
it communicates like that. I mean, that's how I got started knowing Tim. Is like, I was a nobody to him, and I reached out when I bought a first antenna from him, and he responded right back. It was just, communication was phenomenal, and we've been
in this fascinating modern age we live in. So it allows me to have an app on my phone, so I get emails wherever I am.
Yeah.
If the spelling is bad, that means I'm somewhere and I'm on the phone trying to. But if the spelling and the grammar is okay, that usually means I'm at the workstation. And the workstation is right on the bench. So I mean, every time I get an email, ding, ding, ding. So, and I don't like letting people wait. I've sent enough emails to people wanting stuff and be like, and I think the coolest thing in the world is when you send somebody something and ask them a question about their stuff, or can you do this for me or whatever, and they get back to you within 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, that's
right.
That's a great thing for me. Yeah. So I try to do that.
Yeah, and that's a huge differentiator. And that's actually one of the things, Tim, that I think you and I kind of synced on when we first got to know each other.
Yeah.
you know, because I would make these ridiculous requests and say, hey Tim, instead of having a BNC on there, do you think you could toss an SO239 on for me? And it's like, yeah, no problem.
No problem.
Make it happen.
So
okay,
it looks like Chris has got called up for babysitting duty tonight. Have fun. No. Get your mic, get your cam, bring the children.
There you go.
I'm gonna do it all together.
Oh,
Background noise.
I had the banner panel going, so I wasn't seeing the comments.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. I texted Chris to say, hey, where are you, my friend? I'm happy to hear you're okay. So that's bottom line.
You can't be a quitter, Chris.
Well, if it wasn't a baby, if it wasn't like family, then
well, what is it? Is it babysitting or is it? I don't know. Are there babies?
You know, he's not here to defend himself.
Are the best. Are there babies in the Bauer house? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a story, and we'll hear all about it next month. Okay, Tim, anything else you want to share with us as we're sort of going around about what happened the last month?
Sure. Well, I'm sure we'll get into it here as we go along. Other than I'm happy to have Chris on, and I just love his channel. And we were talking a little bit earlier about the music and stuff like that. And I was going to say the production values on his videos are always very good. And it should be 2 old men and a dog in the woods. What kind of dog is that?
Gets in there.
Isn't he like a golden? He's a what?
She's a mix between, I don't know. Some people say she's a part Belgian Malinois and she's part crazy, but she's finally starting to slow down. She's a good girl. She comes out with me every once in a while and keeps me company. And the ham radio and my dog don't mix too well because she's too hyper to sit in one place for too long. So
yeah, I get it.
She's a good girl.
I get it. Yeah, I had my dog for years and years, and every time I would go out and do antenna stuff and whatnot, he would come out with me and sit and keep his eyes on me.
Yep.
So, Searching for Moonshiners Falls.
Yeah, that's
was that the one with that? Was that the one with that big? It was like a drain, or there was a part of a dam or something that you found.
No, that's something different. This is something I just shot, and we'll get into this in a second. But this shows you the differentiator and what has happened to our channel over the last 2 to 3 years, and that video, Searching for Moonshiners Falls, is pure hiking video. And look at the views on that.
Yeah.
And then I went out recently to Lake Craig at my favorite local state park and tested your antenna less than a week ago, and look at the views on that.
Oh, wow, you get more views than we do. Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to me that, I've always enjoyed doing the videos, but when we started to notice every time we put ham radio in the videos, the numbers would go up, and we slowly but surely kind of trended that way basically. And people seem to enjoy it. And, but we still every once in a while go back.
Do you always go out as a pair, or do you go out by yourself? Or
no. Like my latest one, I was all by myself.
That was just you. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that was just me. Sometimes I go by myself, but a vast majority of the times we're together, and then we have another friend that comes with us every once in a while named Scott. So, but a vast majority of the time it's me and Ronnie. So, and now he's starting to get a little bit into the ham radio part as well. So that's pretty cool.
Where's he tonight? You didn't bring him with you, I see.
When I first told him about this a long time ago, when we first discussed it, I think because he's fairly new to the hobby, I think he feel like he would be out of place or whatever. And at that point, I don't even think he had a license yet at that point.
He's just shy.
He's definitely not shy. he's many things, but shy is not one of them.
I remember the first time Tracy talked about doing a stream, and I'm like, you mean like be on camera and on the internet and stuff? And I was like, yeah, why the hell not? So
now, Tim, you and I have very different recollections of this. Kind of like that scene from the Avengers. They're trying to remember Budapest.
I'm making stories.
I think you talked me into the stream.
Did I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. And it's like, I don't know. I remember I was it was kind of like that burnout phase. And I think I'd had about, and you said, no, we should do a stream. And I thought, well, who would watch?
Yeah, you were supposed to take me up on it though.
Well, maybe that was
that's a great idea. Let's think about it. Like you always do. Well, let's think about it.
Good stuff. All right. Chris, let's look over the last few weeks. What have you been doing ham radio wise? That's been fun. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of your channel.
Yeah,
but if you have
absolutely.
some highlights to share, just maybe a
I
couple
was
of
gonna
bullet
show
points.
We've had a bunch of stuff going on here locally. I'm sure you all heard of Hurricane Helene. It pretty much ravaged this whole area. So the last 6 months have been pretty limited in terms of our time out in the wilderness. And then on top of that, about a month ago, a major section of our wilderness out here experienced the largest wildfire we've had on record. I think we lost about 15,000 acres worth of.
I remember that, and I remember thinking, "Wow, that's unusual." I didn't connect that
really
with.
unusual.
I
So
didn't
we're
connect
now
that with your neck of the woods, though. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't reach out.
That is our stomping ground, basically, that whole area back in there. And so I've been spending a lot of time, in other places, and I've been messing around with this thing right here. This is probably the coolest small radio I have. You've probably seen these before. This is a QDX from QRP Labs.
Oh, yep.
I've been doing a lot of testing with that in hopes of someday doing a Summits on the Air activation digitally. So I've been messing around with that. And then, as we talked about earlier, I mounted this all-in-one computer on the wall in my shop because I'm really interested. No offense to the FT8 people. I don't see the thing with FT8 personally, but I really, really enjoy the JS8 call protocol.
Don't blame me. Don't blame you at all. When I first got into it, I did my time doing phone and CW, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm triple play award winner 1740 or something like that.
Cool.
Too, by the way. I know, right? But after a while, I just wanted to play digital, and it was JT65 at the time, and I just fell in love with that. I mean, you could just go to sleep. It was so cool because it used to go do 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 do, and I would sit in the big chair. I remember it was one winter, I put up a 160-meter sloper and just sat in the chair by the fireplace during like a blizzard, just doing like JT65 with Washington State or something. And that was and I rigged it so I had a tablet. I had my iPad tablet, and there was a program that let you emulate. You could use the internal Wi-Fi to control the computer. So the computer's in the shop, and I just had my tablet, and I would just go back and forth just for hours and hours and hours. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And FT8 is cool. I like FT4 better if I had to pick one.
I've not used it, but I like the conversational portion of JS8 call and then just messing around with it. And I've mostly done it. I've mostly used it in my backyard is the main place I've done it. Actually, on one of your antennas.
Oh, cool. Good.
And I want to say it was either 20 meters or 10 meters. It was the straight resonant dipole. I made a JS8 call contact in New Zealand of all places on 5 watts with this radio. I was just like,
nice.
You got to be kidding me. And I've been kind of playing around with it in hopes of getting it up on the mountaintop. I've done I did a quick POTA at my local park just to prove that I could do it, but nothing like the style that we normally do as far as, getting away from the car and everything else. But
so I use tell me about the QCX, because I use the True SDX, the DL2 MAN version.
Yeah.
I think that's what I got. That's what I got set up with. But the QTX was QTX was on my radar for a long time. Did you do it as a kid, or did you just buy it?
No, I bought it. No, I did not build it. Actually, I bought 2 of them. They have a lower end, not a lower end, but a lower band one and then an upper band one. So I bought both of them. Actually, I found out from it. I don't know if you've had him on your stream. I think Tim has worked with him. Gaston, I think is his name.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I saw him talking about it. And then they ran a thing about it in the now online magazine, used to be called QRZ, or no, not QRZ. What is it? QST.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to wait like 6 months for my first one because everybody wanted one. But ever since I've had it, I've had a lot of fun messing with it. But I really prefer voice. I really prefer SSB, but it's just kind of my long-term goal in ham radio. The one thing that I really, really, because I watch guys do it, especially in SOTA, is I don't know CW. This will tell you how long I've been involved. I got my first ham radio license when the CW requirement went away. I can't even remember how long ago that was. But that's when I got my tech license, however long ago that was.
So you're a no-code extra.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's probably a real bad thing in some people's.
No, you know what? Just you want my advice? Cheat.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Just go buy a copy of what is that? MST 30 or whatever it is that does the decode and the transmit for you until you just you start typing and you start connecting words with sounds and things like that.
A lot of the people I've talked to said the best way to do it is with POTA or SOTA because the conversations are
short conversations. Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, but you got to pick out wacky call signs with it. And that was always my problem with it. You got some doozies of some call signs to pick out, especially overseas. You know,
so that's my long-term goal, I guess, because I see all these guys with, radios so small that they've got them in fanny packs up on top of mountains doing CW with people in Japan, and I'm like, I got to do that,
Yeah, I do that here a lot. There's a lot of SOTA in my area.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is. There's a tall tree over there. There's a lighthouse in the harbor. There's the old Masonic Lodge downtown. That's like 3 stories. Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I love all of it. I love POTA and SOTA and just being out there. But Summits on the Air is just a blast to me. It's just something special about the effort it requires to get up there. So, but I haven't done near as much of that. But I'm working towards that goal for sure.
Good
so that's
stuff.
my
Hey,
world right about now.
That's just a lot of fun. A couple of things just from my side before we dig into it a little bit, Chris. Number one, I've got the banner running across the bottom. I can hardly believe it. This is the beginning of the 4th year of our stream. So this is, where has the time gone?
Isn't that wild?
It is absolutely incredible.
And we're powerless on the anniversary.
And Chris isn't here to celebrate with us. He's babysitting.
We got a different Chris.
Yeah.
We got it. We
substitute.
And that's okay. Chris, we don't want to make you feel any less welcome. It's it's probably a good day. So that's number one. And I want to say thank you to the people who tune in. You know who you are. We know who you are. Thank you very much for your support over that time. Thank you for those who are new and are tuning in monthly, if not live, then to catch the replay. So yeah, just a lot of thanks on that, and we do our best to provide some interesting conversation in a friendly manner that's welcoming to all.
And you won't believe how he rides me. Oh my God. It's like, we got to come up with something. We got to keep this going. We got to engage with the crowd. And just like, okay.
You've been smoking that stuff again, haven't you, Tim?
Marlboro?
I've got other news. I've got actually, to me, important and big news. And that is on again, off again with Dayton. I'm going to Dayton. I came out with a statement last month I wouldn't, took another look at it, and turns out I'm going. Now, I am wearing over here an Outdoors on the Air pin, not because I am full of myself, but because I've ordered 50 of these. So if you happen to be going to Dayton, I'm going to be carrying a bag of these in my backpack, and I'm going to be giving them out. So if anybody wants one, now either I'm going to be coming back home with a backpack full of buttons, or I'll give them all out. I don't know which way it's going to go.
You have to mail me one when you're in country.
I'll take care of you, Tim.
Otherwise, it'll be like $50.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to pay.
Yeah,
duty.
you're right.
You're tariffed.
Absolutely right. So there you go. So yeah, going to Dayton, looking forward to it. There is an event, the QRP ARCI. I forget the event name. It's the Thursday night. And
QRP ARCI. It's the 5 days in May, guys. Right?
Yep, 4 days in May. They have an event in a ballroom at the hotel that they host it all in, and it's crammed with people, and there's tables, all kinds of great stuff to look at. So I'm that'll be my first stop, because we're leaving first thing in the morning. We're not going to do the overnight thing to get there for Friday or Thursday all day. So Thursday night. So you might have a chance if you're there. Listen, if you're there and you see me, don't be shy. Come on up, say hi. I'm not too big for my britches, I promise you, and it'll be nice to make to make a personal connection at Dayton if you happen to see me. So that's big news. Really looking forward to that. A couple weeks ago, I went out to a park, took one of Tim's antennas. This is a 20 meter, 17 meter, 15 meter linked dipole. Now the video that I shot won't be posted until not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend. And actually, I like to give you guys the sneak preview on here. I've got myself a DJI Neo mini drone. Like, it's a tiny little thing. It's about this big. And the question is, can I use one of these to put an antenna up in a tree? So that's the focus on that one. That's come, and I'll just say that Tim's antenna makes a cameo appearance. I'll be doing a profile video on that one down the road, but not too much further down. So that's stuff that's gone on in my neck of the woods. Okay, let's get into it.
Before we go, run through the chat.
Yeah, sure.
There's been some good questions, I think.
Oh, okay. And I haven't even taken a look there yet. I've been very remiss.
Too. Some pithy commentary going on.
All right, let's go. All right, so we've got some good people here. We got B. Willen, we got Rob Noakes. Philip made it. Hey, Philip, I've got if we get a chance, I'm going to show a slide from you that you sent us earlier. David VA3NIE, thanks for joining. Who else we got here? And of course, there's Chris. Okay, just so everybody knows, Chris is okay. We don't need to send out the dog sled or the fire truck. He's all right. He's got a higher calling. StreamYard is killing ham radio. Good evening.
Hey, tell him your trick.
Which trick?
Tell him your trick. To the trick we pulled.
Oh, okay.
Our super secret.
Mike, if you're doing the StreamYard thing and they come and hit you up with a big price increase, just tell them you're going to quit and they're going to give you a sweetheart deal. That's what we did.
Works every time.
I bought a car like that once.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Oh, you know what? One of my favorite guys, Forget Your Life. Look at this. Hey, look at this, Tim. He asked for a high-vis yellow antenna from Tim and got a high-vis yellow antenna. All right. That begs the question: why on earth would you want a?
Listen, a wise man once told me that you got three customers for this kind of stuff. You've got the stealth guys, the camo guys, right? Of which I would consider myself one of those. Then you've got the high-vis guys who want like safety orange and yellow and things like that, which I understand. I mean, I get it. And then you got people who just don't care.
Yeah.
So I was doing everything for, camo guys and people who don't care. And, and I always had the yellow, like I got a lot of stuff in my back pocket, right? Like I got spools of wire downstairs and, and pink filament and I've got all kinds of wild ideas, but just never seem to have the time to do them. And then somebody like Jaeger will come along and say, hey, can you do this? And it just so happens I've got all the stuff. Yeah. And that's how it became an offering too. As somebody asked for it, I did it, took a picture of it, put it up on the site. So it happened. I mean, that's just the way it works.
And I guess not enough people know about this, but you like colors. Like you are all about colors when it comes to.
I like to be able to choose. I mean, one of the things that made me mad when I was spending all this money on antennas was everybody's got a freaking black or gray box and some wire, and they all look exactly the same, and they put these stickers on them or whatever. And well, look off to your. That would be my right, your left, right, for that box over there, right? They all look like that. I don't want something that looks like something everybody else has. I want to show up to the park with some style. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the antenna you're making for me has a nice bright orange matching unit box.
You wanted orange it is.
I sure did. Well, I'm a Halloween guy, right? So that my birthday's around that time of year. So
I started thinking about now. Normally I do that with normally that would have like yellow wire with it, but you wanted the 100 watt, and I didn't have any of the heavier gauge in yellow. Yeah.
Hey, Mike N2MAK, thank you very much. Much appreciated, sir. That's really wonderful. What do we got here? Philip, $5. Thank you very much, Philip. Appreciate the support.
Can he afford it?
Well, he's an engineer. He rolls them up and smokes them, doesn't he? All right. Oh, look at this. So, Rob, make sure you take a burner phone, not your regular one. You know what? I got a slide to show about that later, Rob. Thanks for the tip.
Somebody asked about the Morse code decoding software, and the name of it is MRP40. And it's a guy out of Germany. His name is Norden or something like that. And I think it's like Polar Electric or polar-electric.com. And it's cool. I mean, you have to buy a license for it and all that stuff. But I remember years ago when I was starting out, I mean, that's the kind of thing that's how I would do it, because I tried the online courses and I tried all the other stuff like that. It's just all noise to me. I need to see, hear, and see what's being said kind of all at the same time in real time for it to work. I mean, and that's the first thing I ever learned was my own call sign, right? So yeah, check that out. He does a real good job. I don't know how much it is anymore. It was like $50, I think, the last time I bought it. But they make it tariff too, so you might want to hurry.
No kidding. All right. Let me see here. Here we go. Be willing. I can only imagine the up close drone footage landing the antenna wire in the tree. You know me, guys. I'm going to get buried in these comments here, so I'm just going to sort of run down. Let me take a look here. Adventures in Blind Videography. I do not recognize you, so thank you for tuning in. If you're a first timer, if you're a blind operator like myself, Tim's antennas are awesome. Wow. Okay, so let's explain that. All right. Yeah. They're lightweight, effective, and easy for a blind guy to manipulate. So far, I have one and I want more. Hey, thank you for passing that along. I'd never even thought of that.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look. Hey, we've got Juan from Chile again. Hey, Juan, thanks for joining us. Always nice to have you with us. All right. Got down. We're caught up with the comments. Chris, okay, we are we're a whole bunch of time into it, 27 minutes into it. Now we finally get a chance to talk to you and find out about you. How did you get started in ham? Chris, you want to share that with us?
Yeah, I mean, one of my first civilian jobs, I spent some time in the military. That's where I got started in electronics. And one of my first civilian jobs, one of the teachers that I worked with, he was also prior military, and he was really into ham radio. And I had seen Mars stations when I was other places, and so I depth of it. And he's silent key now, and kind of a sad thing that I didn't really find out because I kind of drifted away from the hobby for a while. But he was building this thing, and it kind of all came full circle for me. He was building a I guess you would call it a screw type antenna that would automatically adjust for frequency and HF that was on the back of his truck. And he was doing this stuff like microprocessor controlled. And he got me started in that as well, because that's kind of my specialty now. But he was doing that stuff years ago, like decades ago. I mean, he was really, really ahead of his time. And he set up a small station or a school. And I just found it interesting and started studying it.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was just fascinating to me, like an application of electronics. And then it helped, obviously, that with my background, that I understood a lot of the theory behind it. People jokingly talk about how difficult the extra test is here in the United States, but the extra test was the easiest for me because that's what I do for a living, basically. There was a lot less regulation. The general test was the hardest for me because it was just a lot more regulation and stuff than I was used to, and memorizing of things. So, but that's how I got started. Like I said, it was a guy that I worked with. He set up a small station at our school, and I was hooked, basically. And I think when he and I kind of parted, we both left that school at different various times, and I kind of drifted away from it. And I drifted in and out of it for a while. And then there was a long break where I wasn't really active at all. And I was a technician for class for a long period of time. And then during COVID, as with many people, I basically got I got an HT out of a box, charged it up, and went out on my back porch and, remembered how to set up a tone on our local repeater, which I had talked on before, but it had been probably 10 or 15 years since I had talked to anyone. I called out, and a buddy of mine who's still a friend of mine responded, and I just got more and more involved, and I started researching it. And it was during COVID, so everybody was at home. I literally, at that point, I did not have an HF rig. All I had was a mobile unit in my vehicle, and I had an HT. I had no HF rig whatsoever. I was only a technician class, and I just thought, and then I started seeing things like Outdoors on the Air, these guys out at parks and hiking, and combining hiking and ham radio. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, cause I've always hiked. I've always been out in the wilderness. Ever since I got out of the military, I've spent a lot of time out in the woods. I've always enjoyed it. I did a bunch of trail running. I've done hiking. I've done all kinds of things. But when I saw that you could combine ham radio and hiking together, that was it for me. I was just like, so then I'm asking all my friends who I'd gotten more involved with since COVID, well, what's a good HF rig? I want to be able to backpack with it. And I have an HF rig at home now that I don't use very much. Most of the radios I use fit in my backpack, basically. I mean, I have a station at home, inside the house, and to be quite honest with you, I don't turn it on that often. I should. Every once in a while, I'll POTA hunt from home, just to kind of like a giving back to the community, because so many people have helped me so much with all my activations and so on. And I've done a little bit of SOTA hunting at home, but not nearly as much, because it's not as prevalent in the United States, at least, as it is, as POTA is. So, but I just started getting involved with it. And around the same time, literally about the same time, I was getting really heavily back involved in ham radio. Studied for my general, I passed. I waited a little while, I studied for my extra, and I passed. About the same time, everything was kind of calming down in COVID. Families were getting back together, and my wife's family had a big summertime picnic. And my brother-in-law, Ronnie, he said, I'm going to retire. And I thought, awesome, dude, let's go hiking together. So we started to go hiking together about once a month as he was transitioning into retirement. And for the first year, that's all we did was hike. I mean, I always carried an HT with me in case of emergency, but that was about all it was. And I didn't realize, about 6 months into all of this, he's recording his thoughts on his iPhone while we're hiking. And he was normally at that point, because he will tell you, and he's probably said it in many videos, at the beginning, he was not in very good shape. So he was always in the back, but I didn't realize he was recording his thoughts. So he started sending those little clips to people in our family, and people in our family, the main one being my wife and his sister, said, this stuff is gold. You guys should start a YouTube channel.
I'm fascinated. What were his thoughts?
Just random stuff. You'd have to go back and watch some of the really early stuff. He's one of those people. He can he could talk to a stone, basically. And we never run out of things to talk about, because he's always rambling on about something. And it's kind of the running joke. And the other guy that joins us on occasion, whose name is Scott, is exactly the opposite. Great guy, but Scott is very, I don't know the word for it, not painfully quiet, but he's not Ronnie, basically. So it's almost like a really good balance.
He's introverted. He's an introvert,
exactly,
like me.
Like me. Yeah. So it's got to the point where, and then, it was, for a while, that's all it was hiking videos. And we were, 20, 30 views, maybe 100 views. And mostly it was just family and friends watching it. And I was really enjoying, because I do all the editing, and I got really, really passionate, and I appreciate Tim's wonderful comments about the quality, because I work really, really hard on making it as presentable as possible and telling the story, basically. And because of my job being so technical, I spend a lot of time in front of computers, and I have never found anything as mesmerizing or captivating as editing video. I don't know why. I think it's a really interesting mixture of technology and artistic content, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it, but
I'll tell you, your channel, at least for me, your channel had been a standout as far as like production values and the stuff, and going to the parks and telling the story, and then you sprinkle the little ham radio, because I can watch, because people do POTA videos all the time, and they're largely the same, right? I'm going to this
Yeah.
park, this thing, you do thing, and CQ POTA, and boo, 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 and then you're done, right? I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I get through the majority of those, and I'll watch them until they get to the thing, and then I'll forward to the end, right? And hear the wrap up, and then move on to the next one. But yours, I always, let the music would come through, and you see the pathways, and then like you'll come upon the artifacts and
Yeah.
monuments and things like that were always very interesting, and then you had the music backed into it, everything. I was like, how on earth are you only getting like 500 views or whatever it was at the time? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just fine. So I would always throw yours up first, and I started tweeting them after a while.
Yeah,
and then
man.
we finally started talking, and it was like, what, I love your channel. It's fantastic.
And
I know exactly who you are. Yeah.
It was completely coincidental that I met Tim through, because I started to learn about QRP radios. I got, based upon a lot of recommendations from my friends, I got an FT818, and I knew I wanted a lightweight antenna. And I did a search, I think, Googled, QRP antennas. And sure enough, one of the sites I came across was Tim's eBay store. And I ordered a couple of antennas. They worked amazing. And I started to have questions because I was getting more involved with it. And what really impressed me was I emailed him, and like within probably an hour or so, he had replied back basically. And he and I got to talking. I told him about the channel. And the next thing I know, he was gracious enough, and never with any pressure on me to say good or bad things about them. What would you like to try? I remember him saying that to me once, and I just was floored that, someone would think enough of my abilities to send me something to
Well,
test.
that fellow over there, and there's another couple of them in the chat too. They'll find, just like, sometimes I'll just send people things. Here,
Yeah.
especially Phil. He likes to. He does some endurance testing of equipment, let's just say, and
Right.
puts it.
They are tough. I mean, I'll give them that.
Puts it through some trials. So.
Hey guys, I want to interrupt for just a moment, please.
Yes, sir.
I just noticed something here, Chris. You're at 997.
How is that?
Okay, hold on. No, time out. This is important, guys. This is a call to arms. If you're watching this now, would you please follow the link in the description?
Put us over 1K.
Go over and subscribe to Chris's channel right now. That 1,000 number is really big for a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Because at that point they can start to monetize.
You can monetize at that point, right? Yeah.
So
yeah, we've been working
on that. If you wouldn't mind, please go over and subscribe to Chris's channel.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I'm glad you noticed it. I've been, I shouldn't watch it as much as I do, but when you get that close, I've been watching it probably more than I should. Plus, the new video has been doing pretty well, so I've been looking at it a little bit more than usual. But we've been playing around.
You know what? And as a fellow YouTuber and somebody who's been doing it for a while, I can tell you that I don't want to overstress it, but it's like your baby. It's like you put so much work into it. You want to see it do as best as it can, and you're always looking for ways to improve it. So I get it. It's like, yeah, you're always keeping an eye on it, and you go through the comment section. If you're anything like me, the comment section is like a garden. You pull the weeds, right? Because you're just going to get some crazy comments in there. You can't leave them in there. You got to pull those guys out. And then I actually do this. I'll go back and I'll look at some of my old videos and I'll watch them and I'll say, what could I have done?
Hey, check it again. I think he's over the hump.
Oh, let's just take a look here.
So this would be cool. Live stream going over 1,000. That'd be wonderful.
Hang on a sec here, guys. All right, present, share screen, share, and look at that, 1K subscribers.
Sweet.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
There's a guy in our chat too.
That's cool. That's cool that you captured that on film. That was really neat. That really made the night even more special for me. So I completely agree. It is like, I never, when I started out, I never could imagine that, right? But I just did it because I enjoyed doing it, and I was hoping people. And I've had stories back when we were doing like pure hiking content. I had stories of a coworker whose father-in-law was terminally ill, and I can't remember what and for some reason he just connected with our stuff, and she would tell us things about how he would, he would light up basically when she would show him our videos, and it was just things like that. It just becomes, like you said, it becomes like something you're really proud of and you want to continue to do better. And I don't think with any of us, as far as ham radio, none of us have, ideas of grandeur, like, like we're going to make a living doing this. It's just like, it's my way to give back to the community that's given like so much to me, both in terms of hiking and ham radio. That it's just, I try my hardest to make it as interesting as possible, as entertaining as possible. And like I said, I just really enjoy the process basically. And I'm glad to hear that people, enjoy watching them as well.
For sure. Hey, you're on Instagram too, it looks like too,
Yeah.
right? And one more.
I also enjoy a lot of still photography, especially like nature and wildflowers and stuff like that. So all of my still stuff I put up on Instagram. I know a lot of people, it seems to me like that was the initial intent of Instagram, but it's kind of drifted away from that. But that's kind of what I put up over there is I put up all my stills.
TikTok is next.
Huh?
TikTok is next.
Yeah. No. I don't think I'm going to go there. Yeah, it's a little bit too quick for me. I mean, I've even stayed away from, I don't know about Tracy. I've stayed away from shorts because I know a lot of people do them. I've stayed away from them because I kind of feel like I like to tell a story, and the short is just not really the right format to tell that story for me, at least. And I know a lot of people use them, and that's great, but I don't. I tried it a couple times, and I just took them down because I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like it jived with everything else we were trying to do. So
I dig it. I've been riding Tracy to make shorts.
Make sure.
Philip too. Yeah, Philip is like,
and he was talking about me giving him a hard time earlier.
Yeah,
he's been giving me a hard time about shorts for at least a couple of years now, and it's like, nope, don't see it. And then last month, StreamYard started auto-generating shorts. Now it's all done through AI, and it's not great. So anybody watching this who has seen one of the shorts where like you got this flickering light thing going on, that's all StreamYard trying to, I don't know what the heck it was trying to do, but I guess the AI hasn't quite been figured out yet. So it's a growing pain. But we tried it. Tim, okay, I'm going to say this. The last one that I posted, it's like 1,300 views.
Told you.
So there you go. And you know what I thought it would be? I thought it would be interesting to capture a snippet and maybe get people interested in tuning into the live stream. Because just because we're doing that. If you ever get to that point, Chris, you might want to consider that.
You can start singing too.
Yeah, the thing that I've, and you can see it there on the screen, the thing that I've, I guess, tinkered with or played around with over the winter after the hurricane is more instructional style stuff. Obviously because of my background, and it didn't do as well as I thought it would do, but some of the ones, especially like the one you see there, ham radio terms, did pretty well. And I wouldn't really call them reviews in terms of like, because a lot of people do reviews. And one of the interesting things that, I thought to myself before we came on was, depending upon who's listening and who's in the chat, like, is there any value to another channel where you're focusing basically on instructional style videos, not review style videos, but instructional style videos, such as the one you see there? Like, I know there's some guys on there that still already do a lot of that stuff, but I don't know that that's a viable thing.
YouTube was my Elmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything I learned, I either Tracy or Phil taught me, or I learned on YouTube. So you just gotta get one of those shorts to go viral. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Start singing. FT8 in a POTA.
Chris,
in a POTA.
Chris, we had Walt, Coastal Waves and Wires, on a couple of years ago before his channel took off, and he's doing awesome.
We knew him when
when he was one of us. We knew him before he became an international superstar. I'm not saying that mockingly. I mean, he's worked hard, and he's got himself a tremendous.
It was like Jason Momoa on Stargate Atlantis. Remember, we knew him when.
But he was saying at that time he was saying things kind of similar to what you were saying. right? He was saying, well, I don't know if I want to be doing the same stuff everybody else is doing. My counter to that is that, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. We all learned, we might have learned the same basics, but we learned it from different people and different sources. And here's something else. Conventional wisdom isn't always right. And there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there. So you might come at something from an angle that nobody else is coming at it from. And the way you approach something, the way you demonstrate something may hit differently with other people that they haven't been able to figure something out. And I guess with your occupation in teaching, you would know a lot about that.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know what? And here's the other thing, right? Look at the channel of viewers that you have. Those people might not have seen some of the other stuff. I mean, YouTube is massive, right? There's you turn stuff on and you're just blown back by the current of stuff rushing at you. They may not have seen that other stuff. You may very well be the first guy that they come across that's showing them how to do that, and the light bulb goes on for them, and you've just done them a great service. So that's the message I would impart to you.
And you different people create different connections, you know. Like I connected to Tracy's channel and his style of doing things, and your channel and your style of doing things more than others.
Right.
That's where I went for stuff.
That was the surprising thing to me when I first started adding the ham radio in was I would talk to my ham radio friends about it. And I had done a couple, I think, where it was mostly ham radio and very little hiking. And I was surprised by the amount of them that said they missed the hiking portion of it. Like they missed the story behind how we got to the summit. You know, and that they enjoyed that portion of it.
The story part.
Yeah. And which is really the part I enjoy as far as, you know, when you go to do the editing, you get to relive that story. Like, well, you know, I don't know how long I always tell everybody, however long the video is, if it's 18 minutes long, it probably took me an hour per minute, you know, in terms of editing to get it to that point, basically. But it's a very, you know, something I'm passionate about. So it's not really like time that I consider a waste. I enjoy doing it. It's kind of my hobby, basically. You know, like everybody else, getting monetized and making a little bit of money, that would be nice, you know, to buy a new pack, pay for your gas to get up to the mountain, you know, get a new radio. That would be great, you know, but, you know, I enjoy my job and everything else, but it's really been something that I just become passionate about because I enjoy the wilderness and because I enjoy ham radio, and the ability to do that and create content that people enjoy is just, it's really been a lot of fun. So,
we'll keep doing it.
Yeah. Definitely keep doing it.
Full encouragement.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if we just talked about Chris's channel and getting him over that threshold, I want to share something with you. This is where I stand currently. I am 19 subscribers away from 20,000, and I've been watching this. So if there's anybody out there that hasn't subscribed to my channel, would you please do so and get me over that magical mark? Because this may be the last milestone that my channel ever gets to. It's well, once you know, I sort of got to a plateau, and sort of like I get dribs and drabs here and there, typically about 100 new subscribers a month. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel and wouldn't mind, it would sure be nice for me to hit that 20,000 mark. All right, so back.
I can make another alias and subscribe again, I suppose.
Not exactly what I was thinking, but I appreciate the thought.
Numbers are numbers.
Chris, I want to take a look at something here. I think this is wonderful. This is the sort of thing which, in my estimation, is iconic. And here you are holding on for dear life in a howling gale to your antenna support. Let's tell us a little bit about this one.
This was very recent. This is the most recent video. And we have a local state park here that I go to all the time. I talk about it all the time. It's in my county. And there's a beautiful lake there, and I've always wanted to activate by that lake. And I had some time off from work. Tim had just sent me, not just sent me, but a while back had sent me the new linked end-fed half wave. And the other thing I've been playing with that I meant to say in the beginning of the video is I've been testing and using my SOTA Beam 7000 HDS fiberglass mast. I had always thrown antennas up into trees. That's just the way I've always done it. And I kept on, yeah, and I kept on seeing these places like, well, there are no trees, but I think it would really work well there. So I bought a SOTA Beam 7000, and I've been playing around with it. And then when I had this time and the weather was beautiful, I thought I'm going to head out to Croft and go up on the dam at Lake Craig, which is like one of the iconic spots in that park. And I'm going to set up an antenna off to the side out of everybody's way and see if I can activate. Because I always had this, Ronnie and I did an activation over the holidays right next to a lake up in the mountains in North Carolina with the linked dipole. And the results were just amazing. I think, you know, and I'm no expert on wave propagation at all, but by the side of that lake, it was just amazing. I don't know if you're radiating out into open space or what it was, but so I got there and got it set up, and literally about the time I got it set up, the wind, it was breezing a little bit, but it got to the point where it felt like it was 20 to 25 miles an hour constant. And that little hiking pole that I'm holding on to was what was between me and the antenna laying on the ground, basically. But it was a lot of fun. And then on top of that, I had never had this happen, like never. Like, and Tracy's done a lot more than I have, but you very rarely get pile-ups when you're working QRP. And I don't know if because it was a Tuesday or what it was, but I've spotted myself on the POTA app, and you can see my phone right there in the foreground. I spotted myself in the POTA app. I'm holding on to the antenna, and then all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk to me, and it was just like it was on basically. And
well, look at the guy. Look at the guy in this picture. He's having a blast.
That's right.
Even Ronnie wasn't there, obviously, and he watched it afterwards, and he's like, how are you writing down contacts, holding the antenna, and calling CQ? I'm like, it wasn't easy. But I had a couple of really cool comments after that one to people talking about, those are the ones you'll remember. Like the ones where it was rough. That's the ones you'll remember. And it was just like, and the results were absolutely just astonishing to me, basically on 5 watts. I remember making a comment in the video. I switched over to 10 meters just to try it out. And I only got one contact on 10 meters, but it was a guy all the way from Puerto Rico. And I thought to myself, and I said to the camera and to everyone in the YouTube universe, I was like, you know, who says this isn't fun? I'm literally sitting on the side of a lake working 5 watts. And I just talked to a guy in Puerto Rico, like, you know, and it's just, I hope in some way, like, it's always been part of our goal, even when we were just doing hiking videos, to get people outside, basically. And now it's part of our, you know, it's always been my kind of goal to get more. And I never steal your line, Tracy, and I can't remember what it is about whatever you say at the end. It's
get
really
out of
good.
The shack. Get out of the shack, hey, and get on the air.
Yeah, something like that. Just like me, except you forgot the boot.
Yeah. But I've never tried to, you know, but that's always been kind of this thing with me, like, you know, get out here and try it. It's a lot of fun, you know, and we've had, and I've made a couple of videos with my local club where we've set up, you know, more permanent stations, but we did Parks on the Air events where we had 20 or 30 people there and they had a blast. And, you know, it's just, I've always liked the idea behind getting out there and trying it in a location that you're unfamiliar with, like taking your stuff, putting it in your backpack, going out to somewhere you've never been and seeing if you can't make it happen, basically. Especially for me, at least, you know, I love, don't get me wrong. I've always wanted to, I've had people ask me this question, and I did a video on the difference between POTA and SOTA. If anybody's curious about, you know, what are the little technical differences between the two, I did a pretty fun video on that. But people are, not a lot of people, but some people have asked me, well, which one do you like better? I love POTA. I mean, I really do. But the way that I do it is very, very different. I never do. I think I've done it twice where I could still see my car. Like I always take my gear. and I go somewhere up on top of a hill somewhere or something, you know, where I have to carry my stuff in, even though POTA allows you to not do that. But, you know,
If
something
I
about
lived if I lived in an area like you and had all of that nature around me and stuff like that and could do that, it's exactly how I would do it. I couldn't imagine, you know, well, I can actually probably would do it for my car, but you know, I would want to get out there too. It has
yeah.
to be a nice day. You wouldn't get
But
you wouldn't catch me on the top of a dam in a windstorm like that though. That's you're my hero, but
there's something about the Summits on the Air thing that's just, it's, to me, it's more challenging because in most cases, there are some drive up summits that you can get to. But in most cases, you got to put in some solid effort to get up on top of that, you know, mountain slash
Mhm.
whatever it is. I mean, you really, really got to, you know, you got to plan it out. You got to think it out, you know, weather wise, what's going to happen? What do you got to carry with you? Because there's no walking back to the car. You know, when you're 2,500, 3,000 foot up from where you were, and it's 4 miles back to the car, you know, if you forget something, you just, you know, you just
Do
went for
you
a nice
remember
hike because you're not active
do you
anymore.
remember there was a guy on YouTube, it was KB1HQS or something. This is a long time ago. This is 10 years ago. And he was from Massachusetts or someplace. And he used to do a lot of hiking ham radio videos. And he put up a hammock between a couple of trees in the middle of the woods and play
Yeah.
around with his KX1. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I don't see his stuff around anymore. I have to look him up.
That name doesn't sound familiar to me, but like I said, it's, you know, 10 years ago, I wasn't really involved in the hobby and probably wasn't paying that
Right.
much attention. Yeah. There's a lot of great guys out there. I mean, there's some great guys that do Summits on the Air in the United States as well. Adam out in California.
Charlie,
Blank
the guy we had on here for a while.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
there's but a lot of them, I enjoy watching some of the guys from the UK, the guys across the pond, as I say. I mean, there's a couple of really good ones. Radio Rover is one of my favorites. I mean, Fraser, I love watching Fraser stuff. I love watching the guys who do CW from these really remote locations with tiny little radios, and I just really, really enjoy that stuff. I enjoy all of it. If it's outside and you're using a radio, I like it.
I'd like to see some Australian stuff too. We know a couple of
Yeah.
people down there, but you know, want to
There's
get out in the
another guy
outback,
that, in
see a
terms of
dingo.
storytelling, there's a great guy. He's in Alaska. His name is Jeremy. He's a younger guy. And if you want to see somebody else, and I've made comments on his videos, they're just like, he is really getting deeply involved in the same kind of stuff, like telling the story. And he's really, really good at it. It's a K7 call sign. I can't remember it, but K7 something outdoors. His name is Jeremy, and he does amazing stuff as well. Same style stuff. And
Alaska would be cool.
yeah, and that is the cool part, because he is in Alaska, and it deals with the weather and everything else. And you know, I enjoy that kind of content. I enjoy watching those guys and
polar bears.
And one of my long-term goals is to hopefully, you know, do some kind of collaboration with people like that. Maybe not in Alaska, but, you know, people locally or people, you know, somewhere in the country, basically. But, you know, it's like Tim said, it's a passion. It becomes, you know, it becomes your hobby. It becomes your, you know, if you got an accident off, what are you going to do, basically? So.
Very cool.
KL7 Echo Charlie.
That's him. Yeah, that's him. I think it's that call outdoors or something like that. His name is Jeremy. He's a younger guy.
You'd have to be younger in Alaska, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
he really does a great job. Lots of drone shots, and he really tells an amazing story. We've used some drone shots in our stuff, not as much as we probably could.
And coming soon to Outdoors on the Air.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming soon to Outdoors on the Air, eh? It's the drone.
By the way, Tracy, I have used drones on many occasions to drop antenna lines, mostly with my club. We used them to get them up for, like, we did a big event, and people might enjoy that video because it's very non-traditional for us. We did a fly-in event. What do we call them? We did a special event station at a big fly-in down here in South Carolina. And we talked about, literally in the video, the process that we used to drop that antenna into that, I think it was about an 85-foot tree. The name of the video is called Whiskey 4 Fly-In. It's fairly, I think it's at least a year old. And there's no wilderness, but it's ham radio in this big event down here in South Carolina called the Triple Tree Fly-In. It's an amazing location, lots of planes. If you're into planes, you'll really enjoy that one. But it was really, really non-traditional for us. But one of the highlights in that video was we explained basically how we use the drone to drop the line into for the temporary end-fed halfway that we put up for that big event. But we've done it a couple different times. We have a special drop mechanism we use on an older DJI drone that allows us to do that. But pretty cool process. Yeah, it can be done. It's a lot of fun too.
I 3D printed a grappling hook for the bottom of mine.
Really?
Yeah, and then my son flew it in a tree. So,
and that happens.
I was into that.
Yeah, but
it's fun.
I'd like to include more drone footage, but that's just one more thing to carry. Ronnie's gotten some good drone shots, and we've included some drone shots on some of our stuff. We have a really good idea for a drone shot on a activation on a bald summit that we're trying to plan to get up to, because that's the kind of the cool stuff to see. But I just think they add something really cool to the content. But it creates, like, if you're carrying everything, the drone is just one more thing you have to carry, basically. So we haven't done as much.
I've got what is it, the DJI Mini 2, Mavic Mini 2 or something like that, and it folds up. But you're right, it is something extra that you have to carry. And for you guys, I mean, I can just imagine, just watching your videos. I mean, you get 20 minutes of footage in the video, but it's got to be an all-day affair.
Oh yeah,
getting there, set up,
the fun part. People think it would be tedious, but it's really not.
No.
I don't know if Tracy experienced the same thing. The difference is with me, it's there it is right there. There's our drop mechanism, and that was a lot of fun. But the difference with me, when I look at video, like, I do all the editing, but both Ronnie and I are taking video together. And especially the really cool thing that I found happened, not on this style video, but like before Ronnie got his license and I was the one always operating the station, he would be taking this amazing footage of me while I was operating. And what I realized was he was getting angles of me, and I wouldn't see all that till I got home and started reviewing the footage. Like that is a cool shot. And I didn't even realize at the moment, like, that he was getting that angle, basically, because I'm so focused on the radio and what's happening and getting the activation and recording everything properly, that he's just moving around. And I jokingly said, and it wasn't really a joke, but at the end of my POTA versus SOTA video that I did a while back, I basically complimented him and said, like, he is the best and the funniest ham radio cameraman ever. Like, because he's hilarious, but he's like really, really, really good. He's got this innate ability to get these really cool angles and change up, like, because as Tim was saying, a lot of times, when guys are by themselves, it's really hard when you're doing an activation to change the angle of the camera and keep operating the radio and all that stuff. Well, I kind of have, most of the time, if Ronnie's there, it's almost like I have an unfair advantage because I can just focus on doing the radio, and Ronnie's
I know exactly what you mean. I've been bugging Tracy to, like, hire a producer and get one of those little boxes, that makes the noises and stuff for giveaways and things like that and everything. He won't do it.
Yeah,
he's old school, man.
You got a little budget issue with that, Tim.
Yeah,
but he just don't want to bad enough yet.
And he sees things, and the cool part is, and then the real fun part for me is the two of us, especially when we're out in the wilderness. I'm taking video, he's taking video, and then I get to go home and look at it all again and kind of think about, like, how do I mesh all this together the best to tell the story and change the angle and all that other stuff. And he sees things that I won't see most of the time because he's a much better cameraman than I am. So, I mean, I'm okay, but he's got an eye that I don't have. So, but, he will tell you, like, as far as editing is concerned, that's kind of my deal. That's kind of what I enjoy doing. But yeah, absolutely, it's worth his weight in looks. A little less coax. I just
that's a good one. Hey, maybe he wants a producing gig, a live stream producing gig too.
But he's a character, and he's he always keeps things interesting. But like I said, when it comes to shooting, I don't think he just shoots a lot of video and gets cool angles, and I try to tell the story, and we've been doing it. And now, thanks to my appearance on the Outdoor in the Air's live stream, we're over 1,000 subscribers. So that's
Sweet.
that was pretty much the highlight for me so far, is to be able
That's
to
a
capture that.
beautiful
I'll
thing.
be able to go back and watch my reaction to that over and over and over again. So, yeah. I mean, I remember.
Hey, there's a short
when we
for
went
you.
over 100.
Oh,
Yeah.
look
There's
who,
a short
Yeah.
for you.
look who
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I
look who
didn't think
showed
about
up.
that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I
Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
I
I
said
wasn't
Scout
sure.
75 is in the chat, so we'll say hello to Shane.
Oh, hey, Scout. Shane, great to have you on. Started at 8.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Hey, thanks for joining us, Shane. Great to have you on board. Hope you're doing well. And I want to know, Shane, are you going to Dayton? Because it'd be nice to meet you face to face.
I bet he is. I guess I'm the only one who's not.
What are the dates, Tracy?
Oh, let me take a look here.
I know it's May.
Oh, it's like May 20th.
Yeah, it's May 17, 8. No, wait a minute. That's wrong. 15, 16, 17, 18.
Oh, okay. I'd always love to go. I might be able to make. I might try, but
Hey, let's get together and shake hands.
So some of the fellas in my club have always talked about taking like a big, like a big guy vacation and going up there and getting
Yeah. So here's what you do:
Yeah.
you just rent a big Winnebago, stock it, and hit the road. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, big shout out to my we call it Spark for my local ham radio club. Great group of guys, been amazing to me, very supportive, always encouraging on my videos. Can't say enough about my local club. There, and I wish there was more local clubs like them. I don't know. I guess I'm blessed because I've got a really solid, strong local club, and I know a lot of people don't. So
the club thing is strange because there are places that there are really strong clubs, and like here in Chicago, there's the Chicago FM club, right? So when I first started out, I went to the CFMC website, and they were all of it. When I was reading, it was all about 6 meters, and I'm like, well, 6 meters isn't really a thing for me, and but I tried 6 meters. I'd never heard anybody on 6 meters, and they said they have the repeaters up and stuff like that. I never heard a word, right? So it was like, okay, so it kind of just petered out. And then a week ago or a couple of days ago, I hear from a guy who's on the board of the Chicago FM club, and I started talking to him, and he's like, oh, well, we do all kinds of stuff. And I was like, well, okay, maybe we'll give it another shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, do you know the 6 meter guys have a special word for dead band? Do you know what that word is?
I'm not a 6 meter guy, so
magic.
Oh, I heard about that.
The magic band.
The magic band. Sporadic E and meteor scatter are the ones that I hear a lot too. And, okay.
I'm making fun of it a little bit because I haven't been on 6, but I mean, it's you're waiting for the band to open, and we're at the top of the sunspot cycle right now, so all the lower bands are going great guns. It doesn't have quite the same appeal right now. But then again, I'm not a 6 meter fan, so I'd never gotten into it. Hey, this is an important one from Rob Noakes, VE3PCP. Hey, Rob, thanks for joining us. Tomorrow is World Amateur Radio Day, so everybody, happy World Amateur Radio Day.
Cool. I didn't know that. Learn something.
Hey, Jimmy, KI5PRK. Good evening to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Nice.
So, Chris, let me just go in a little bit different direction here. Mm-hmm. So, you've got that classic that a lot of us hold near and dear to our hearts. That old FT. Is it an 817 or an 818? What do you got?
I got an 818.
He's got that extra watt.
The fancy watt. Yeah. So, okay. So, what's your kit? You take it. What's your go-to when you're heading out? What are you taking with you?
I have 3 main components besides some amazing antenna from Tim, right? I have 3 main components. I always have the 818. I use an Z817 tuner from LDG, which is built for the 818. and I use a speech compressor from Soda Beams. Those are the three things that I go to that have really just changed and revolutionized my ability to almost always activate, are those three main components. And I normally have an HT for backup and for emergencies, which we have had to use, believe it or not, on a couple of occasions because of emergencies when we were in holes and down in places where, cell phones, because amazing thing to me is like people literally don't realize there are still places on the planet where cell phones don't work. Like literally you get up in the mountains and there are lots of locations where you pull that fancy thing out of your pocket and it doesn't work. And this is kind of off the subject, but I want to tell you this story because it's pretty interesting about Ronnie. One of the things that happened in our area, Hurricane Helene, which was really tragic, and it was inconvenient for me, but Ronnie's from Western North Carolina, so a lot of people are still impacted by that storm.
You're kidding, really?
He literally, at that point, I had asked him multiple times, get your license, get your license. I even told him, I said, if you get your license, I'll give you a radio, which I have because he got his license.
Holy smokes.
At that point,
it's a brother-in-law thing to do.
Yeah, at that point, when Hurricane Helene came, he had not yet done it. And we literally went, because the entire telecommunications system up there in the mountain was completely wiped out. I mean, cell phones weren't working, nothing, hardly anything was working. And we went, and his whole family went. About 2 or 3 days, we didn't know if they were okay or not. Like literally, and you couldn't go up there because all the roads were blocked. And he told me afterwards, when we found out he was okay and we were laughing about it, that he's literally laying in bed and he can hear me in his head saying, you should have gotten your ham radio license. You should have gotten your ham radio license. You should have gotten your ham radio license.
Yeah. Wow.
And so literally when things somewhat got back to normal, he got to studying and he's done great. He's done his first POTA activation. And, and even for that one, he used my kit basically, because he knew it worked. He knew what I carried worked, and I was used to carrying it. And
you've had that 818, I think, since from the beginning, right? I mean,
yes,
it was the Yaesu. Then you had the LGD tuner, I think, right?
Yep.
And the antennas. I mean, for a long time. I don't know about the speech compressor.
I don't see any reason, like me personally, I don't see any reason so far for me to change it, basically, because it's done everything I wanted it to do. It's already paid for. It's an amazing radio.
Yeah, it's cool.
I beat the heck out of it. And a friend of mine from our local club was the one who got me convinced, because he had traveled all over the planet with an 817 in all kinds of crazy places, just hanging wires out the window, and was telling me all these stories. I'm like, well, if you're going to take something out in the wilderness, you need something tried and true. You need something is going to work and it's going to take the abuse. People talk about the G90, which is probably a great radio. People talk about the ICOM, whatever their 10-watt one is. It's a 705 or something like that. A little long, but it's got that fancy digital screen on it, and I'm sure people do amazing things with that. But the FT818 just looked like it was an all-in-one package that I could do everything. CW, hopefully one day, obviously single sideband and voice communication, and it really has. And I'm not a representative from Yaesu. Yaesu doesn't pay me anything, but it's just a rock solid, get it done, not fancy. You got to know how to work it, kind of radio, basically. And
plus you've got that extra watt, which is like turbo.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
What's on your wish list
as far as radio stuff?
Yep.
Like I said, that's the funny part with me. Like, I've got 2 really nice HTs. I've got nice, and they all are Yaesu, and not because I think they're better. I'm just kind of a brand loyal kind of guy. Once I get started with a brand, I kind of stick with it. So I really don't. That's the funny part, and guys in my club will, they give me heck about it all the time, because I don't really think about buying multiple different radios. I've got the radios that I need to do the stuff that I want to do. And I really don't have, I would say probably an 891 would probably be the one. Like, because I'd like to try POTA with more power.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Solid
I'd like
choice.
to try, and I've heard amazing things about the 891. So if I had to say, like, or somebody said, here's $1,000, go buy a radio, it would be the 891 for sure. So I mean, I probably wouldn't even blink or hesitate as far as which one I would get if that was the case. But I
There's
really enjoy QRP. I mean,
yeah,
QRP is such a challenge to me, and I just enjoy doing it.
there's nothing wrong with that. I don't find myself jonesing for new equipment a lot. I still got the first. I mean, my shack rig is the first real HF rig that I bought. I still got it.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful Kenwood setup with the TS830, but something happened to it, which I don't like to talk about. But after that, my heart was broken, and I'm just like, I'm happy with what I got.
I do have a big dream, but it's got nothing to do with a radio. It does have to do with radio, and I've always had this wild idea of, in the United States, especially on my side of the United States, if you're a hiker, like, one of your big dreams is always the AT. Like, that's what people think of. That's what people want to do. And I've always thought, I want to section hike the AT. Well, a lot of people have section hiked the AT. I don't even think I've talked to Ronnie about this yet. We've talked about doing this, but we haven't talked about this idea. It was like, my idea was to section hike the AT, and every summit that you got to, activate from that summit. Don't just section hike it. And maybe even POTA from every park that you get to, but that might get a little bit long. But definitely, like, every recognized summit on the AT, which there are lots of them, instead of just section hiking that, as you get to the summit, stop, set up, and do an activation. And then
has that been done? I mean, has it been documented before?
I don't think it has been done. I'm almost sure it hasn't been done, but I've never seen anybody. I mean, there's lots of guys that have activated a lot of those summits individually. I'm sure there has been. They're all been activated. Well, not all. I would say if they're not on a private property, they've been activated. But
well, that'd be like a domestic expedition almost, wouldn't it?
That's kind of the idea I've had. How do you make? Because there's all kinds of people, and I don't know if you guys watch it. Obviously, my hiking side of me, I always watch one or two through hikers every year on YouTube. So I thought, like, how do you make an AT through hike interesting to our community, like to the ham radio people? And you got to mix in ham radio somehow. So I just thought it would keep the whole thing.
Well, let's think it through here. I mean, how long would it take to do that normally?
Gosh, I mean,
6 months.
Yeah.
We're talking section hiking, right? Yeah. So break that up.
Yeah.
I guess you're talking on weekends then, Chris.
Well, I mean, being an educator, we do have fairly long breaks that, you could do 2-week stretches at a time or something like that.
Sure, but to film it, to doc or to edit it, to put it, I mean, that would be a thing. I don't know. I think there's more exploration and maybe some sponsorship, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of I was thinking to myself as I was, pondering, like, this discussion, and I thought, because eventually, and it's a good question, like, what's your long-term goal? What are you going to do? And I've been mulling this thing around in my head, and my wife, she's always been, very, like, the whole channel thing. And I forgot to say that at the beginning. Like, the whole channel thing was pretty much her idea. Even the name was her idea. The Two Old Men in the Woods thing was her idea, because she could safely say that.
She didn't say it like that, though.
Because I'm her husband and Ronnie's her brother. So
she didn't say it like that. She said, Two Old Men in the Woods.
Yeah, exactly right. No, and I'm glad she did what she did, because her idea was, when we were first going to start making a channel about hiking, it was very brilliant. What she said was, she basically said, don't say anything about specifically hiking in the title of the channel, because then you're kind of limited to that.
Yeah,
you're boxed in, basically. So and that allowed us, as we noticed the whole ham radio impact on the number of views and subscribers we were getting, then we weren't locked in, basically, because of the name and the way we had presented it. And we started veering off to that, and then the numbers, started going up a little bit. And now we have over 1,000 subscribers.
Now you do.
How about this, right? So you take a section of the trail, you hit the summits on there, you get the video, bring it back, we cut it up into shorts and put it up on the air.
There you go.
Yeah, all shorts.
All shorts.
All shorts. The entire Appalachian Trail in shorts.
I mean, I know that's a good question for Tracy. Like, do you see any impact, or have you done like series of videos? And have you seen any impact as far as the numbers are concerned? Or have you done anything like that? I know I've watched a lot of your stuff, but I don't remember seeing anything where it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, or anything like that.
I did that in the early days, Chris. I can't say it, and I'm struggling to remember, because in the early days I would post a lot of videos, and I pulled a lot of them down. They're not on my channel. I just, if it didn't do well, I was pretty hard on myself. I did something that was multi-part. I do not recall the topic right now, but it just seemed like I had so many people watch the first one, and then the second one was down. Actually, and actually, now that you've mentioned it, the Great Lakes on the Air, which I thought would be interesting. So I did that, 4 different videos, 4 different Great Lakes. I haven't done Lake Michigan, still haven't done Lake Michigan. They were kind of up and down in terms of viewership numbers.
Yeah.
Some of them really did pretty good, and the other ones not so much. So I'm not the best test case, I guess, for what you're thinking, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work if it was done properly, but and you had enough momentum.
As a project, though, I think that would be
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think you'd have to do it maybe in the early autumn too. I think would be the time to do it.
My guess would be, while it's a series, and they're linked with a common theme, each one would have to have its own topic that would draw the user, the viewer rather. That would be my thought. I could be wrong, but that's my reaction.
This deserves exploration, deeper exploration.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a long-term thing. We've talked there's some shorter, I guess not really sectional trails, but there's some shorter, long, trails that will take 3 or 4 days that he and I have talked about trying just to see what that's like, because unlike a lot of traditional backpacking channels, and anybody that's watched any of it will know that most of what we do is day hikes. I haven't slept out in the woods in years. I mean, I want to get back into that portion of it, and that just adds another layer to it. I've thought, as a mini version of that I know I'm going to try soon, maybe even this summer, I've thought of going on an overnight where you can link 2 summits together, and make that even maybe a 1 or a 2-part thing, just to test out the idea of, how people react to that kind of stuff. And plus, when you do an overnight thing like that, the whole ability to integrate and tell the story of, waking up and cooking breakfast and putting your tent away, and mixing that in with the ham radio is I think where it's going to be fun and interesting.
Plus, you'll be able to do some portable 80 meters. That'll be a treat.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'd like to throw in a little bit on that, because here's the deal, right? Overnight camping, ham radio. You take a look at the YouTube landscape right now, and a lot of ham channels out there, and they're all doing the same thing, for the most part, right? I'm out there, and I'm not trying to beat my own drum here, but I'm just amazed that nobody else, like, I go out for field day, I set it all up. I go out for CQ Worldwide every year. I set it all up. I walk everybody through the weekend. I don't see anybody else out there doing that. Yeah. So when I hear you, and I'm a camper, and I've done my share of backcountry, when I hear of somebody talking about that sort, and I've done a few videos on that very sort of thing, not perhaps to the extent that I could have in retrospect, but there's a different thing going on there. Whenever I go in a situation like that, it's typically family, and now you got to divvy up your time, right? It's not about the video. It's about, where can I find some time to actually shoot some video while I'm spending time with family? So if you don't have that restriction, I mean, I just think that's untapped territory in YouTube, to be able to document an overnight trip, sitting around the campfire. You know, what could be more in the way my mind works? Little ham radio sitting on the table or on a rock next to you, the campfire in the dark going in the other, you know, at the end of the back of the scene. Holy cow. That just gets the blood flowing as far as
campfire and a banjo and a can of beans.
The best one I've ever seen, and as far as not only quality of videos, if you really want to watch a good one, and I cannot remember what mountain range he was in. Adam, the guy from California who does all the CW stuff, he did this one where he strung together several summits way out in the California wilderness somewhere, and it was just like that really caught my attention. That, you know, he took the time to put that whole thing together, and I thought that would be a lot of fun to do. And like you said, there's not a lot of content out there that's like that, basically. So yeah, K6ARK, yeah, just in really good videographer, really good storyteller. And he does a lot of really cool, educational stuff, like, you know, on top of his regular content. So, if you haven't seen him, he's well worth the time to go check out as well. So, and
no, that sounds like an interesting project. I can see that one gathering.
He's hooked me. His dream has become mine now.
Okay. Hey, listen, we're coming up on the hour and a half. I've got a few slides that I'd like to share.
Yeah.
And let's just have a little bit of roundtable about them. And they're sort of more general in nature. Let me go and grab. Is it? There it is right there. Share this one. Let's go back up. I want to go back up here. Here's the first one that caught my eye.
Uh-oh.
Radio Amateurs of Canada. I belong to the Radio Amateurs of Canada. For the international friends, that's the organization of amateur radio operators here in Canada, similar to the ARRL in the US. Got this email in early April. RAC will not attend Hamvention this year. Now, based upon what I learned, they're not attending Hamvention, and they do every year. It's because of this tariff thing. I'm just going to put a line in the sand and say, I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
I do not understand. Aren't we supposed to separate ham radio and politics? I don't get it. Now if there's maybe they're having financial issues, maybe there's something else, but I hope they're not making an excuse about this, because that would almost be worse than canceling the trip because of the tariff issue.
Tracy's
as a Canadian, I'm a bit embarrassed.
If you haven't picked up on that, he's on fire about this one. I don't blame him, honestly.
Now, okay, let's shift gears to something far more pleasant.
You had to get that out.
Yeah, what do you guys think this is? And if you're thinking, well, this is a POTA activation, you're absolutely right. So this is how they do POTA in Georgia, apparently. KA4KOE, our good friend Philip, sent us this photo of a recent POTA activation he and his friends did. And look at that. They're bringing a whole new dimension to the word, getting on the band.
Normally Philip plays his banjo on the porch, but
here is a portable, a POTA. Rich. Rich, I've got to go find your call sign. I'm sorry, I put this together before.
That's technically known as glamping, isn't it?
Yeah,
this
is
is where he's saying, that Rich in North Carolina, I think it's N4VS. Rich, good guy. He sent me a vertical last year with a telescopic whip. This is I've never seen anything like that in any of my portable activations. All right, my friend Tom, VA3WBA, good guy. He's from Poland. He is a radio geek of a very high magnitude. He sent along this photo. This is really interesting. This is it looks like a chameleon antenna tuner probably a chameleon whip there with some sort of it looks like, I don't know what that tripod is. I'm very curious about that, but there's some kind of a device down at the bottom where you attach, it looks like your counterpoise is plugged right in. What a slick looking system this is.
Yeah, it looks like it's well machined too. That's nice looking.
Absolutely, right? It's just a bomb proof, that thing. Very cool. I wanted to we've got Rob VE3PCP on with us tonight, and here's a shot. He did a video he published to his channel. He had Raiza from Russia. I think she's from Russia. And she did a remote using his station, and that's a Newfoundland call sign.
Cool.
And so she had an activation. Rob actually suggested in the comments, if we could ever make it happen time zone wise, that Raiza might be a future guest for our show. So maybe Rob and I will work to see if we can make something like that happen.
we might get in trouble down here though.
Yeah.
Why? They'll call us Putin lovers or something.
Oh, geez.
I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, that's the real reason I got into ham radio was for the chicks, but no.
That's right. And we know that's Rob's stuff, right? It's like,
no. I got a party with Rob, I'm telling you.
So here is a shot of the International Space Station. A nice looking young fellow. I don't know. Is it a young fellow? I'm not sure. But look at that shelf. That's an ICOM 705 on the International Space Station. How cool is that? You know what? And who needs a lot of power when your line of sight is literally half the globe?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Last but not least here, my good friend Tim putting together something for me here. We talked about this, I think, last week on the stream, or last month on the stream, Tim. I think we mentioned it. This is something I had asked Tim if he would be able to put together for me. Again, Tim, Aetherwave Antennas. Look them up on eBay. Link below.
Oh, and a coupon code too.
Sorry?
And a coupon code too.
And he's got a coupon code. Comms Prepper as well, and Etsy as well.
Yep, there too.
Okay, all right. So we got lots of options. Tim will work with you to custom build something if you want. I mean, where are you going to get that, right? You're not just getting a cookie cutter antenna. You can actually, get the gray cells moving and figure, okay, I want something. Here's what I asked him for: a 45-foot end fed that will work on 40 meters, 20 meters, and 10 meters. Now, that is an odd combination. And anybody who's come into ham radio in the past several years is going to say, why on earth would you, why wouldn't you just want an antenna that's going to do all the bands? Well, Tim, do you have any answer for that question? Why this might be a useful antenna?
Well, this gets you, listen, when I first came into ham radio, I wanted to work all the bands too. And you got me, I spent a lot of time on 160. I spent a lot of time on 30 and 15. But after a while, after I got that out of my system, it turns out, believe it or not, all the action is on 40 and 20. And at the top of the sunspot cycle, 10. So if you want to get out there and be active and actually get some contacts and start working stuff, 40, 20, and 10 are going to be your go-to bands. 10 right now.
Yeah.
And 40 and 20. So
point one of two big bullet points on this antenna. Absolutely. Well done, Tim. Listen, every band is wonderful right now, but let's give it 5 or 6 or 7 years. Those bands aren't going to be wonderful. 10, 15, 12, they're all going to go away. And they're going to come back from time to time, but they're certainly not going to be a daily type thing that they are now. The other part that plays into this is that 45-foot length. That 45-foot length is short enough that it will work in an awful lot of situations where 60 feet or longer wires will not. And the anecdote that I told last month was about setting up get into a campsite, wall-to-wall pine trees, no window to the sky, all the low branches are at about the 8-foot level, no gap. There was literally one gap in the canopy that was about 4 feet in circumference. So I took, I have an older model, a bigger, bulkier matching unit that is similar to this, and I just taped the far end of the radiator to the top of the mast. It was my 50-foot DX wire mast. I put the mast up, the matching unit went at the bottom, and I was on the air. Any other situation, I'd been looking at what, a 7-foot horizontal antenna, which wouldn't have worked well at all. So this is why I find this to be a very cool antenna. You'll see more on my channel as I believe, Tim, you sent it out this week, and as I get it and get some hands on with it, I'll be sharing more details on that.
That should be fun. I'm really curious to see how it works out, because I don't do a lot of like coils and traps and things like that. It's not my style, but it's an interesting, 45-foot for 40, 20, and 10 would be interesting. It's one of the reasons I do the links, is because you can't always put up a 65-foot antenna, right?
Yeah,
but if you want to get on 20, you really only need 30 feet.
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to try with that, the LinkedIn fed halfway that I just tested, is I want to try it without the other, just the short section. I haven't worked that yet, so I want to go out and test that as well, because
That'll get you 20 and 10.
It worked great at the full length. It worked amazing. So I want to get out there and try it with just the shorter piece, because Tracy's right. Sometimes it's just not feasible to get it up there with that much wire in the air. So having that option is really, really nice.
So there you go. There's some other stuff that's going on here. Interesting world of ham radio. You know what, guys? We're at the 136 mark. Anything else we want to chat about before we call it a night?
I definitely want to say I appreciate both of you. Is really, like I said, it's full circle for me, because when I got back involved in ham radio, I said this earlier, like one of the first channels that I saw, like I literally, I'm not exaggerating, I did not know what POTA was. And then I see this guy from Canada, I think he was sitting at a picnic table somewhere talking to people all over Canada and the United States. I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And now I'm sitting here talking to you and Tim was the one that really got us together. So I appreciate it. And like I said, I will definitely stay in touch and keep you apprised of any of my, hopefully, like Tim said, hopefully I can make this big dream come true and work on something really cool as I.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating. And thanks for coming on. I mean, it's been
great.
It's been really a long time coming. I love your work. So
thank you very much. And I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate going over 1,000. That was a big deal.
You know what? We are so thrilled to have the opportunity to help you get there. You put in all the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears. None of that would have happened without that. And just a word of encouragement. So projects like that we're talking about, Tim and the Appalachian Trail, and I probably mispronounced that, and doing section hike videos. Projects like that make a nice midterm goal, and then you've got a path to go along. Speaking of hiking, to get there, and along the way you're going to be learning more things, and more ideas are going to come up for the videos that are going to appear before then, and of course while you're out there you're thinking and you're getting ideas for future videos. So this is cool. I'm a backcountry guy at heart, and I wish you nothing but great success. I'm so glad Tim tapped me and said, hey, check out Chris. He's done some wonderful stuff, and sure you have. And hopefully everybody who watches this video is going to get over there and subscribe to your channel.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate both of you. It's great to be on here and great to talk to y'all. And I appreciate your audience too.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. And just a quick parting word from myself. If you're going to Dayton, you see me, maybe give me a shout on 14652. Come on over and say hi. I'd love to meet you face to face.
Get a button.
And I've got some buttons. I may, as I said, I may come back with a backpack full because nobody came up to me, but you might get a button. Tim, last words?
All good. All good
Okay.
here. All good. Here.
Fantastic. Chris, thanks again. Tim,
thank you.
Other Chris, Kilo 2, Charlie Juliet Bravo. We miss you, brother. But next month, we're looking forward to already. Oh, and just a quick note on that. Sorry. So because of Dayton, we're pushing back our stream night. It's not going to be the third Thursday. It's going to be the fourth Thursday, which is the 22nd. Our special guest is going to be Eric from the YouTube channel Farpoint Farms. So that'll be a fun one. We keep going to these East Coast guys. You know, they're a fun group, and we've had a lot of fun with them so far. Thanks everybody for watching. You know the deal. Appreciate your being here. Get out of the shack, get outdoors, and get on the air. 7-3 from
Absolutely.
Tim and Chris and myself. Goodbye now.
Bye now.
See you. Good night.